So the results for round 9 are all in. That means it is power rankings time. There were a few upsets this week, so the results on the power rankings are a bit... well, there are some sharp results up and down for some teams, more than we're used to seeing recently. So we'll see how we go. Last spot. Still winless. Sunwolves. Doesn't get any better. They lost to the team one spot above them on the power rankings, which was the Blues. It wasn't an embarrassing loss, but it was another loss. It was another game at home. Where is the season going for them? They've still got half the season to go, but yeah, the lineup was better. That's about it. 14th, the Blues. So they actually managed to get a win for a change. Second win of the season. Record now 2 wins, 5 losses. But it was over the Sunwolves. It wasn't a magnificent win. It was just decent. And yeah, it doesn't count for a whole lot. So it moves them up a bit, but not in the power rankings. So it just means they're a little less far behind than they were a week ago. Can't give them too much credit. Next, and down 3 spots, as a team who've kind of been on a bit of a losing run, and that's the Reds. So after a pretty positive start to the season, their away games have been poor, and much like the Brumbies were at the start of the season. The Brumbies couldn't buy a win away from home. The Reds have not been able to do so in this kind of second quarter of the season. So season's looking a lot less bright than it was at the start. Maybe Brad Thorne's work is going to take a bit longer than we originally thought, but they are at home in this next game, so it's against the Chiefs, which will be difficult, but hey, at least they're at home. Brad Thorne seems to be real big on promoting the whole, fight for your state thing, so we'll see how that goes. Next, in one of the sharpest drops, it is the Sharks, who are down 4 spots. What happened to the team from last week and the week before? They gave the they gave the Blues a right rollicking in that game, and then they pushed the Hurricanes, who are a top team, to the 84th minute, and then they just got manhandled by the Bulls, who were a team kind of recovering, but not a top team, and they just made the Sharks look silly. So yeah, pretty hard if you're a Sharks fan, because just when they seem to be coming right, they just go poorly again. So it seems a bit harsh for them to drop this far, but if you look at the results, even though it was an improved performance against the Hurricanes, it was still a loss. So apart from that one win against the Blues, their recent record hasn't been great. So that's our bottom row. South African, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan all represented. Good mix. Next, and kind of finishing off the locations we play Super Rugby, Argentinian team, the Jaguares, they're in 11th, so they are up 2 spots out of the bottom row for them. They picked up a good away win against a good-looking Rebels team, so credit to them for that. If their season's going to come right, it probably is going to have to be partially on tour, because their home form has been iffy. Good start to it. May it continue. We'll see how they go. Next, off a bye, the Stormers are up 1 spot, surprisingly, despite having not done anything. I think this is more about the Reds and the Sharks losing than the Stormers doing anything. The Stormers didn't lose, so good on them. We'll see how they go when they come off the bye. Next, the Brumbies, who, despite getting a pretty heavy defeat handed to them by the Highlanders, don't actually change any spots, so they stay in 9th. Again, other results around them mean that they're not moving, even though they themselves are kind of in the background, are going down. Their spot stays the same. I mean, we can't punish them too much because they went away to a pretty tough Highlanders team, so it was never going to be an easy place to get a victory. So although they did get beaten pretty badly, it was still not a huge surprise that they got beaten. Maybe the scoreline a bit. Next, our big mover is the Bulls. So the Bulls are in 8th, which is up a whole 4 spots. So them and the Sharks have pretty much kind of swapped spots. I said last week that there was kind of a gap between the chasing pack and the following pack, so this is it. It kind of caps out at where the Bulls are at. So that they've moved up. Their record now does not look too bad. It was really bad at one point. I think it was 1 win and 4 losses, and now it's 3 wins, 4 losses. So they're almost back to evens. All the teams below them have negative records, so nobody's in the positive from this set of 8. But yeah, the Bulls, good away victory. Credit to them for going away and getting a win, because in Super Rugby that's pretty hard to do. And yeah, they're still a bit off the pace from the top 7, but if they keep this form up, who knows where they could go. It's yeah, it's encouraging to see, that's for sure. In 7th, down a spot, the Melbourne Rebels. So the Rebels lost at home to the Jaguares. Not good for them. They're kind of risking. They're the one team of the leading pack that's risking dropping off themselves and falling behind. Because yeah, their record's only 4 wins, 3 losses, so just above even. So nobody's quite at evens at the moment. We've got a bunch of teams above and a bunch of teams below, but there's nobody really in the middle. The Rebels kind of risk going that way. If they keep losing, then they go on the road now. So definitely some improvement needed for them. After a really bright start to the season, it's kind of maybe a bit of a reality check. Maybe it was a bit too much to expect of them too soon. But still, they seem to be on the right track. So we'll see how they go against the kind of resurgent Bulls team next week. Next, and up 1 spot, are the well-rested Highlanders. So they've had their 2 byes, and perhaps that showed against the Brumbies in this result, because yeah, they surely went for the full 80 and looked high energy throughout the whole time. But now they've got a bunch of games in a row, so we'll see how that goes. And they also need to pick up some away wins, because as yet they've only been able to win at home. They have the Blues next week away, so it'll be the first opportunity for them to do that. Yeah, we'll see. I think they'll probably go into that one as the favourite with the Blues coming back from Japan. But yeah, for the Highlanders, I think to keep up in that New Zealand conference, they seem a bit behind, but it's a bit of a false kind of table in that they've played a game less. So if they can pick up the win, it puts them right back in it. Next, no change for the Lions, who had a bye. Yeah, they've got a tour coming up, so we'll see how the rest and recuperation does them in terms of prep for this for this tour. They're still well ahead in the South African Conference, but a couple of losses on tour and a couple of wins to teams like even the Bulls at the moment. Really, any of them, they're all kind of evens below the Lions. The Lions are the one team kind of way out in front, and everyone else is kind of in the teens. I think 12 is the lowest of the Jaguares. But yeah, we'll see that they'll definitely need to pick up some results on the road to stay up with the play. Down 1 spot in 4th is the Chiefs. So the Chiefs had an away loss to the Hurricanes, not entirely unexpected. It was maybe an opportunity for them, but it was always going to be hard. Never quite looked like winning that one. So yeah, it's not one that will give them too much kind of punishment for not winning, but it just means it's another game you've got to win at home. You can cop an away loss to the Hurricanes and then pick up a home one to see how you go. Next, down 1 spot, mainly because they had the bye and weren't able to pick up any points, is the Crusaders. So Crusaders' record is 5 wins and 2 losses. Still looks pretty good even after the bye. They've got the Sunwolves next week, so expect them to be fired up and well rested and putting on a few points, one would imagine. Hopefully not complacent. Next, and into 2nd, I wouldn't have guessed this at the start of the season. Whoops, better put you up the right way. The Waratahs. I know. The Waratahs. Daryl Gibson, what's he doing? 5 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. They've only been beaten once this season. It seems hard to believe, but their trajectory is also kind of going right. Their form seems to be improving, so credit to the guy for finally apparently getting things right. I know they still haven't played any New Zealand teams, so that'll be another test for them, but I always say, man, they can only play what's in front of them. So far, pretty good, and without Falau as well. So, yeah, what else can I say? Number 1, no surprise that it is the Hurricanes. They are looking like the team to beat this year in Super Rugby. 6 wins, 1 loss. How good is that win looking for the Bulls now in week 2 when they beat the Hurricanes? Yeah, it's looking pretty important now. Because the Hurricanes have just looked pretty much unstoppable from then on. So, yeah, they are the team to beat. Everyone else is catching. It's hard to say yet, but they're not that far from just kind of even pulling away from the front of this pack. They can definitely afford a loss and still probably stay ahead of some of the other teams, depending on how results go. So, yep, that's it. That's the power rankings. What do you guys reckon? How do you think things are going to go for next week? How many points do you think the Crusaders are going to put on Sunwolves? Is probably a good question. But, yeah, there are definitely some good matchups coming and some good derbies as well. So we'll see how they go. I should be watching them all, and I will talk to you again about them next time. See you later.